Yo, what is going down? It is the Fantasy Football Show. Y'all know the deal. Y'all know the drill. It's me. It's your man, Johnny Main. To the right of me, got my brother, Nick Wilcox. And to the right of him, we've got the one, the only, Lord Reebs.
What's going on, guys? Listen, I've gotten to see Nick twice this offseason in person. Johnny's been ducking us, but I see you out there, ripping packs with your daughter. I love it, man. I love it. You rip anything good this offseason?
Josh Allen shattered, Garrett Wilson kaboom, and got a couple of roses. Got some numbered stuff too. So it's been pretty cool, man. You know what I mean? It's definitely hasn't been bad. We've hit a couple card shows here and there. We got a big surprise for her. Actually, her birthday is coming up, so we got a big surprise for her this weekend. So can't say because she likes to tune in and watch every now and then to tell everybody.
That's a nice tease. Then that's something for her to look forward to.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but listen, next year, brother. Next year, I guarantee you, I will be back in the flesh, man, for sure.
All right, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so we got Lord Reebs today. So obviously, man, we're getting to that time of the season, man, talking ball. Before we get started, I want to talk about Puka Ibuka. And yes, I know that's not a person. But the Puka Nacua situation and then Emeka Ibuka got rolled up today on a camp. Any takes from any of you guys on any of that today?
I would say this, the Puka Nacua potential suspension, I don't know. If it's 4 to 6, does that kick him out the first round? Question mark. And then with the Ibuka news, we're holding our breath here because Ibuka has been someone that I've been trying to get in drafts but haven't been able to. But it would open the door for other guys in that offense if Ibuka is going to miss any time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he's not.
Yeah, it's always tough this time of year just to know the severity of injuries. Stuff gets such underreported this time of year when these guys get hurt, unless it's major and if someone tears the ACL or we had Tunsil with the tricep injury and they're just he's just cooked for the year. A lot of these groins and tightness and tweaks, it's hard to know the severity of these things just because they don't have to have full clarity like we would in the season, right? Full on practice reports. And a lot of times too, if someone's nicked up, they just shut them down because it's hey, why push things right now? So just kind of waiting for more information out of Buka to see was it actually turf toe? What is the actual toe injury? Is so just kind of trying to wait. I had jumped the gun the other day about the Alec Pierce thing, just saw a tweet and I was oh yeah, this sounds terrible. And you come out to find out that this was from a report from June and nothing had happened. They made it sound like he had another injection that day, and it was just all right. So just one of these things, just wait for full clarity, try to get the full report, and before we kind of jump to conclusions. The Nacua thing is interesting because we haven't really heard anything. Josh Jacobs, we had known this was still going on, and it was something that we might have to deal with at some point either this year. The Nacua thing was kind of just swept under the rug a little bit when it happened. So we'll see if it's, 1 game, 3 games, 6 games. But I've done a couple studies because it's timely because, I did talk about this last year with Rashee Rice. But historically, guys that are suspended end up becoming they get dinged too far. They become an actual value. Because the one thing is when we talk about replacement games, you're at the start of the year, your roster is the strongest it will ever be before you start having injuries, busts, bye weeks and stuff like that. So you're not taking zeros for those guys. You're actually getting points to those guys where people treat it like a zero. There's some nuance there. If you have shorter benches or if you can't put suspended players on IR and stuff like that. But typically, almost every guy that's been suspended from a fantasy star stance has been undervalued. I mean, even when Rashee Rice came back last year, he was, basically a top 10 wide receiver until then, Mahomes got hurt and then he missed the final 3 games too. But guys like Julian Edelman, I'm dating myself when Julian Edelman was suspended, Mark Ingram, these guys, we had gone a while before there was a big suspension before Rashee Rice, but almost all that. Steve Smith was one. I remember Steve Smith.
Ezekiel Elliott too.
Yeah. And it's Zeke was weird. Zeke's was
that was weird. That was weird.
Part of the year,
the back end.
Yeah, he ended up getting suspended in the season. But typically, what I'm saying though is just we end up over penalizing these guys usually always. So just wait and see. But if because Jacobs already has been kind of a value, And like if he were to actually get people treating him like he's going to get suspended, because if they just told us Josh Jacobs there was no suspension right now, he would be going from like a 4th, 5th rounder to probably like at least a third, maybe the 2-3 turn.
Yeah.
And if he gets suspended now, which is already being priced in, I bet he even falls to like the 6th round or maybe later. And like, man, he would be real tough to kind of pass up in that strike zone.
Dude, that's crazy. It's crazy because like like before like everything had happened, like I tweeted out one night, I was like, why is nobody talking about Josh Jacobs? And then like literally like 2 days later, like all this stuff happens because like to your point, man, like he was getting caught up in the wash, like even before the suspension. So like I agree, man. Nick's been talking about him here like the last couple weeks, as far as like somebody he's been taking in drafts, man. So yeah, it's a good call, man. Good pull with Josh Jacobs for sure.
Yeah, I think Josh Jacobs, if he falls like from where he is now, like
crazy work, crazy work.
Even more, like 4 or 5 turns.
And the crazy thing is that Schefter report that came out yesterday wasn't, again, not even an actual report. He was just all he really said was the league is still investigating these things. Like he never said like these guys are locked in and get suspended or like the suspension is coming. He just literally said they're still investigating this. Like it's so. I mean, it's just again, it's this time of the year, man. Like we went from like when I first started doing this, like, you know, from like a Twitter stance and like doing this full time, like there's like we went from like a lack of information, just like too much information to where like there's so much information, it's not information now.
Yeah. No, it's true, man. Because like to date it, man, like we would be sitting around like looking at ESPN, waiting for like the ESPN like updates, like, you know, all the time. Like that was life, was just sitting there watching ESPN. To it's like now, like you got beat reporters, you got Schefter, you got the players, you got like, you know, obviously people in this space, like, you know, you got people that are close to the players like as well. So yeah, it's crazy times, man, for sure. So all right, man. So we'll get it rolling, bro. So go ahead, Nick.
Cool. So Mr. Rich, what are the markers that you have used that have led you to success in the past for everybody? Because obviously we all know you are one of the kings in the space. So please tell us.
Wish that were true, but I'll take it. There's a long list of people I still need to run down. But no, I mean, just being consistent in trying to put out, you know, information that's, you know, clear, you know, concise in, you know, in season. Like my bread and butter is like adapting to in season. Like the worksheet is like what I like, kind of my hallmark article that I do in season, where I break down every game, and we're trying to diagnose, you know, trends as they're unfolding. Like usually by now I'm a little burnt out because there hasn't been any like games, like nothing actual is happening. We've been talking about the same stuff for 6 months and finding new ways to say the same things. Yes. Right. And everyone's kind of like flag planting players. But if you've played season-long fantasy, like, you know, if you get to the finish line with like even 50% of your roster that you drafted, like you accomplished something. So like there's going to be a lot of fluidity. So I tend not to like sword and shield like player takes. I don't really glom on to like individual player takes. I like hunt for value and things like that. Guys I think are undervalued and overvalued, but they're, you know, you're not going to catch me on Twitter like arguing about players, like really ever. So I try to, you know, just try to find the signal in some things, the signal when we're in season, like player usage, like all those things, and, you know, how can we adapt that to DFS, you know, picking up guys on waivers and you know, things like that. But yeah, just trying to be as consistent as possible. And I don't speak that way. I definitely am not a concise speaker. If you guys hang out with me, you know, even but yeah, just because there's a lot of people like I read, like, you know, like Ben Gretsch and Jacob Sanderson and Matthew Friedman, he's right, like they're great writers, and like they're telling, like they have like anecdotes mixed in with like their data and stuff, and it's like I have too much actual information to put out. I don't have the space for like to just like have like an actual writing style. So it's just try to get information down and try to get people as streamlined as possible.
No, that's what's up. Any like is there any particular stat, like you mentioned, like player usage? Like, is there particular stats for like particular players, like receivers and tight ends? Is there particular stats that like you really pay more attention to than not?
Yeah. So like, especially like one of my favorites is like the combination of like route participation, like how often are you on the field when the team's passing, and then combination of like how often are you getting targeted, you know, per route. So like that combination things, like you have like, So yards per out run, which I think is a really good statistic, can be misleading in a stance because it's also volume based. You can have a high yards per out run, but if you're not running a lot of routes, we can't really put that to like full on use, right? Dalton Kincaid is like a great example this last year. Like if you look at like any list, like Dalton Kincaid is like a top 5 guy and like yards per out run. But because he has limitations as like a blocker, he doesn't always play in like two wide receiver sets, and it's tougher to get on the field like when you're in base offense because they want to be able to sell that they're running the ball. So that's why Dawson Knox gets mixed in, and his route participation is only like the 60 to 70% range. And that's why you see like this year, like he's someone I'm at least monitoring because we are in like best shape of your life season. But he's a guy that like it kind of matters for if like he were to put on weight and muscle, because if he can just get on the field more in those situations and bump up his routes, that's actually actionable, because then he has more access to produce fantasy points based on how efficient he's been on like the limitations that he's had. But a guy like Luther Burden's a great example because everyone cites like the Luther Burden yards per run, and it could be a signal for future years. But like if we were to give him 500 routes, like what happens to those yards per round? Even his was interesting because even when you add on like the 2 playoff games, which is like an extra 50 routes, he drops like almost like a whole half yard because he had run so few routes during the regular season. So like I'm always looking at just kind of like, we want guys on the field, but we want guys also while they're on the field getting targeted. So the marriage of those 2 things is something I'm looking for sure. And gamers have gotten a lot smarter about that stuff too. And a lot of that stuff has really grown. Running backs like that too as well, where, you could have a guy like really limited in terms of route participation because he's not playing in not only third downs, but like the 2-minute, the 4-minute offense. And those are times where you just like can really tack on some junk points, right? Like Jahmyr Gibbs had a few games like this at the end of last year. Like there was an Eagles game. The week one when they lost to the Packers, he caught 10 passes, had a pretty garbage game, but like caught a bunch of dump offs at the end of the game and in the 2-minute drill. And it's like, if you're in full PPR or something, like those are just stackers. Like, and they save your floor. They save you from bricking out. Like, a guy like Derrick Henry's not going to be able to do that. Like if Derrick Henry's having a dog game and the Ravens have to throw, like he's kind of, SOL. And there are a couple backs like that too. So they're just trying to find that marriage. And there's very few guys that are doing it all. And it's weird because the NFL has gotten more compartmentalized as we go. And even more so now that we've seen like the influence of the 2 tight ends, the 3 tight end sets, we're just seeing more guys used in like specific roles. And that's kind of annoying for fantasy football.
Yes. Agreed, bro. Agreed. All right, man. All right. Yeah, listen too, man.
So Rich, what are the things that you have to uncover in order to be on a certain player? Are there certain ways and certain like trends that have to put you on a certain player, and what's that overall process for you?
Yeah, it's different. So I literally write up every single player. I do like these gigantic tiers at the site. Definitely check that out. And it could be different. Like someone like Nico Collins, right, is a player we know is good, and there just could be like a couple points that say like, all right, well, what would make me on Nico Collins versus like guys in his tier? And I do a team regression series, and it's like, all right, the Texans as a team, that like I have them scoring like I show them as undervalued, that they really kind of missed like their upside in terms of like converting yards into touchdowns. They end up kicking more field goals and touchdowns, which is always like a big signal that doesn't like carry over year. And you look at like Nico Collins himself, like ran really poor in terms of turning his opportunities into touchdowns as well. Like he had 120 targets, which was a career high, and had a career low in touchdowns. He really struggled in the red zone because the team struggled in the red zone. But, before last year, like he had 4 end zone targets on 4 end zone touchdowns on 14 end zone targets. So 28.6%. Base rate for wide receivers is around like the 38% range. And before that, he was in his career was over 40% every year. So it's just like, all right, this guy ran into some bad luck. The team ran into bad luck. We have them projected to score more points. Like, where is this probably going to go? Like, he still had all the opportunity. He was still targeted, at an extremely high rate. When he's on the field, he had 54% of the end zone targets, 34% of the red zone targets, like top 5 rates. And it's like, all right, if he just has a little bit of positive regression, that turns him, into a guy that is maybe being undervalued, even though he's, valued highly as well. And then just like different things for just specific players, just bringing up him. It could be like a team note, and like a guy's got the usage, and it's like, hey, if the team's going to go, like it's going to lift all tides. There could just be small usage trends for a player. Like Josh Downs is like an example, right? Like Josh Downs is this guy that has a new opportunity on his plate this year. He's only run 33 routes and 1 to 2 wide receiver sets at this point in his career. He is a guy, if you go back to college, like he can win downfield and can win outside. He doesn't really have that opportunity. So with Michael Pittman being out and now maybe Alec Pierce being out like a little bit of section of time, he's going to have more runway. The one thing that fantasy football gamers do, and this happens more so I think in fantasy football than the other fantasy sports, is we always kind of like over index like what just happened. And like we always think about what just happened fresh in our mind. And one of the biggest things that gets undervalued is like, especially players like with new opportunity and new environments. And new environments could be a new team, it could be a new quarterback, it could be a new play caller. But those are typically the biggest kind of mismarks that gamers miss overall. I mean, I did an article on this last week about the wide receivers. If you're looking for wide receivers that like consistently beat ADP and become values, it's either they got a new quarterback, they changed teams, or their team brought a new quarterback, they had a new play caller, or they had like a different target earner leave their team as well. So like guys like, think of guys like DJ Moore, Christian Watson, like George Pickens was a great example this last year, where people are treating these guys of saying like, oh yeah, I've done the DJ Moore thing before. Like that hasn't really worked out. Like I know what player he is. Or people will be like, Christian Watson's never had more than 600 yards in a year. Like, why would I care? And it's like, well, why do we care about what he did previously? We care about what he's going to do in 2026. And like, it's the one sport where like, and I'm guilty of this too, because I use a lot of data too, where we're trying to diagnose like a thing, but I try to use data in a way that's going to point me to things that are going to happen, where a lot of people use data just to describe something that already happened. But I want to know what's going to happen now. And I want to apply stuff to like, all right, what has changed for this player? What has changed for this environment? And like, how could we, catch some value? Because if people are looking at DJ Moore and they're like, oh, he hasn't really worked out for me all those other years, but now he's playing with Josh Allen. He's in a system that actually kind of suits how he runs his routes. Josh Allen's talked about this too. He was kind of lost in the Ben Johnson system, which is more of like a precision timing based offense, which is funny because Caleb Williams doesn't always play that way either. But
my guy.
Yeah, it's like, it's those are the things that we kind of look for though. So to answer your question, because I just went out along with an answer, it's a moving target for each player. But that's why we go into the weeds so deep on each player, because there are times where I won't be into a player and I'll write up something and it could be like a positive or a negative and end up pulling me off of that. Like for an example, Chris Olave was a guy when I wrote him up, I was like kind of into Chris Olave. And then when I wrote him up, I was like kind of just like, I kept finding things that were just like, oh, wow. Like he doesn't have the same circumstances that led to like his breakout last year, him to being like a supreme value. And it matters because his price has gone way up for last year.
Yes, sir.
Last year it was one of those things like we could bet on talent when he's wide receiver 30. Now he's, wide receiver, 12 to 14. And we're paying a pretty iron price around like a lot of good other wide receivers, so you got to make those binary decisions that are tough. But like, yeah, Chris Olave was a guy when I'm like, all right, he took off, but his best weeks at any point of the season came when another wide receiver was out. It was right after the Rashid Shaheed trade. And then Devon Vele stepped in and started cutting into his targets too. And then when Vele got hurt that final month, like he just went nuts, like the final month, and was like this big playoff winner. But those were his before Devon Vele's injury. He only had 2 wide receiver 1 scoring weeks all year. And like, we're paying a price where he's like a fringe wide receiver 1. Like I want a little more consistency, a little more juice. And then when you look at the Saints in general, it's like they trailed for the most amount of snaps in the NFL last year. I don't know if anyone knows that because we think of worse teams than the Saints, but they trailed for more snaps than any team in the league. And it's like, they have a better team this year. They're in a little better situation. Like, what if they're just not throwing as much? So it's just like, yeah, he was a guy that ended up pulling down a little bit. So yeah, it's just always something different, just little nuances for each player.
Translation: what I heard was Jordan Tyson was what I heard through all of that. That's what I heard. He started to be one of my favorite guys now. I'm like, kind of getting through my process. I'm like, oh, he's looking extra sexy out there for sure.
I mean, think about Tyson and Tate in recent years. Like we have 2 top 10 receivers that like are going well outside of the wide receiver 2 range, and like it's been a while since that happened.
Yep. I agree with you, man. That, and then yeah, like I think like you talked about environment, which is something that like you had talked about last time we had spoke to, man. You had some really good pulls talking about environment and talking about teams. So obviously we'll talk about that a little bit later on, like as well. But you definitely have some really good pulls from that space, man. So all right, so we got to ask. So I'm gonna hit you with it: up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, start. Who is it, baby? Who is it? Who is it for you this year?
Well, I mean, we got a couple of cheaper guys this year because, a couple people, gamers were burned, on Anthony Richardson and Justin Fields. The one thing that's changed, from the throwback Konami Code, which I wrote in 2013, which is dating myself, it was written about Tim Tebow and, Terrell Pryor. It was about how, hey, the rushing scoring for quarterbacks is weighted and it gives these guys a better floor. Well, then just through natural human evolution, we just got better athletes playing quarterback. And like these guys could throw and pass. And when you find the marriage of a guy that can run and throw, like think about, we had like small pockets where like the runners would have like this season where they ran hot, like 2010 Vic or like 2015 Cam Newton, but it wasn't consistent. They held high floors, but when the passing came, the ceiling was like really hard to combat. And then we started to get guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, these guys that were running and then could throw 40 touchdowns. It's like, dude, how do you beat these guys? And now we kind of have some throwback guys this year. Like Malik Willis is a potential throwback guy. And granted, he could be a better thrower. I just don't know what we could take from the Green Bay sample because the infrastructure was so coddled to like handhold him. I want to believe that there's still more upside here because what we saw in the sample with LaFleur and the Packers was really good. It was a lot of screens. It was a lot of design, first read stuff. We want to see more like, traditional drop back processing from him for us to believe it's like full fledged. But these guys are a lot cheaper this year. So he's a guy that I think is just going to have a really high floor as long as he starts all year, even though the situation's gross. The rushing is still just so weighted that he's going to, I think, be a value, especially in your 2 QB leagues. I don't know if a lot of gamers will get to him in 1 QB leagues just because the position is so deep. But then we've got now officially Kyler Murray starting, which we all thought he was going to start anyways. But it's official. They didn't string this thing out on us. They didn't string this thing out on us.
Yeah.
And I have some question marks about Kyler's like fit with Kevin O'Connell's system, which wants to throw over the middle of the field and throw on time. And it's not really Kyler's game, but he is going to have a chance to play indoors. He's another one of these quarterbacks that has really weird, inside dome and outdoor splits. He's got attachment to Jefferson. He still can run, and he's really cheap this year. With the announcement that he's going to start, I don't think he's going to jump like real high. I don't think he's going to jump like Matthew Stafford. I don't think he'll jump, I don't think he's going to get to like the Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix range either because he hasn't been a very good player. So he's on the board. And then the last guy would be kind of Jackson Dart as like the fringe guy, who was already kind of that guy too last year. I mean, this guy had a really stable floor whenever he started for fantasy football and a high ceiling. And you look at the amount of passing points he had per attempt, it was on the same level as Cam Ward. But the fact that he was adding so much rushing, he was giving you all of these usable fantasy weeks. I mean, he had 3 top 3 scoring weeks. He had 5 weeks as a top 6 scorer, and he had 8 weeks as a top 10 scorer. And this is throwing to literally Wan'Dale Robinson as his wide receiver 1 with a backfield of, Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy for most of his starts. And, now it looks like we're getting Malik Neighbors on an earlier timetable. They add Isaiah Likely. We'll see if Malachi Fields can crack, the lineup here to start the year. But they brought on a guy like Darnell Mooney. Like these guys aren't fantasy relevant themselves, but they're a lot better in unison than what Jackson Dart had throwing to at the end of last season. Then he gets his tag team partner, Cam Scadaboo back too as well. So those are kind of the 3 guys from like a Konami Code stance that stand out. And if you get any extra passing from those guys, then they can turn into like 1 QB guys that have like true ceiling as well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A guy I'm just like thinking about, I'm not sure if he'd like qualify for Konami Code status. Your thoughts on Daniel Jones, aka Vanilla Vic, we call him.
Yeah, I mean, it just coming off the Achilles, he's going to be just like, it's just really hard to like lean into the rushing. And he already ran for a career low in yardage last year. Right. And, granted, that could be, he might have run more if like he didn't have the fractured leg and then have the Achilles, but he's coming off the Achilles is the problem, right? To like lean into it. Right. And I have it here because I had it in his profile here. He was the QB5 in expected rushing points in the red zone last year. And like, it's hard to like lean on that. Right. just being available this year for him because of the injury. Now, if he's that healthy and it's no hindrance to him, by all means, he can get. Mahomes is like that too, because Mahomes had hit career high in rushing last year.
Yes, sir.
And that's what really kept him afloat for fantasy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and, sir. Coming off the ACL, like, he's already talked about it this offseason. He's like, I think I was running too much last year. And we don't like that from a fantasy football stance, because the Chiefs also didn't add any weaponry for him. Like, they're rolling back they had Cyrus Allen, like how far you want to take this Cyrus Allen stuff, which is cool. But like, they're rolling out the same unit of wide receivers that, as the league has gone to more zone coverage in this Vic Fangio quarters and cover match, teams are playing more and more man coverage against the Chiefs because they just don't respect the receivers that they have. And it's been a struggle for, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's pretty wild to think about Patrick Mahomes. The last 3 years, this isn't a 1 year thing with Patrick Mahomes. It's not a 2 year thing with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the past 3 years, he's 17th in the NFL in completion rate. He's 23rd in yards per pass attempt. He's 20th in touchdown rate, and he's 20th in interception rate. Like,
better real life quarterback than fantasy.
Yeah,
like that's what it was. That's what it was.
And I also think too, like the Chiefs, I probably would have done this if I was a general manager and building a team too, like built the team with a little hubris of saying like, hey, we've got the best player in the NFL. He's going to raise a lot of the tides of these other guys. And they didn't really give him a lot to work with. And they've struck out on some guys. I think Xavier Worthy at this point, and even if you want to give him a hall pass for a year or two, that's fine. But, even going back to college, Xavier Worthy is a guy that's always struggled with press man. I mean, he's 170 pounds. Like, you put hands on him, like, you can move him around. He's not like a Devontae Smith. Like, he's not a refined wide receiver that can play nuanced wide receiver around his weight. He at least hasn't shown it at this point, and didn't show it in college like Devontae Smith had. And, you've got Rashee Rice, who is like a very Deebo Samuel-esque player, running all of these routes with like inside of 5 yards, relying on yards after the catch, but not a nuanced route runner. And you go back to Mahomes, I think we were just spoiled because his career ascension also overlapped apex Tyreek Hill prime Travis Kelce.
Yes, sir.
And, we have a 37-year-old Travis Kelce, and we haven't replaced Tyreek Hill. So it feels like we've been chasing the ghost a little bit of those Chiefs teams. And when you look at this Chiefs infrastructure on table, we've got Mahomes at the ACL. You add Kenneth Walker, so they're signaling they kind of want to run the ball more anyways. And it's just like, because I know everyone wants to look at Mahomes' price and say, man, he's never been this cheap, right? Like, I want to do it. But I think it's valid why he's priced where he is. And I honestly think he could be even priced a little bit lower, because look at the guys that immediately go after him. You can make a case for like a Bo Nix having more fantasy upside than
talk about it, brother.
Jared Goff too.
I mean, him and Jared Goff are, I hate to put this in his face, they're kind of similar now fantasy players.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you got guys like Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield, like
Tyler Shuck. If you really feeling the Saints like that, you know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of guys that go like after that. Baker Mayfield is another guy. Cam Ward is another guy. Like, if you buy into like the year, and like I know like we might be kind of like stretching it a little bit, but as you mentioned, dude, like this is him coming off of the injury and everything that you just said statistically, and none of that being replaced, and like them trying to run the ball and hit and the thing that made him, because like during the offseason, like looking at stuff, like when I seen how like where he stacked up with other quarterbacks running, like as far as rushing yards, and like he still missed games, I was like, I never would have pegged it for Patrick Mahomes for that. But like, yeah, it's scary to see like where he's at and what he actually could be.
Their schedule's rough too. I mean, it opens pretty solid, but then they have an early bye. So even if you take Mahomes in one quarterback leagues, you have to account for he's got the first bye week in week 5. So you're already kind of pulling him like in one of the starting weeks. But then they come out of that bye and they have like Chargers, Seahawks, Broncos. That's like a pretty tough draw. The fantasy playoffs, you get Patriots, 49ers, Chargers. And there's fluidity there. Like at the end of the year, these defenses could look different, but it's just tough. I understand that gamers see the Patrick Mahomes name, like the brand and the price, and they're like, I'm just going to do it. But I honestly think it could be even a little bit lower. The only spots I'm really kind of interested in Patrick Mahomes, and my home league is like this, but I'm in a 2 QB keeper league. And I think that if you're in these keeper leagues, there's more upside, I think, for 2027, them to have like a different look, and to him to be a potential value in those leagues, like if you have those types of keeper leagues.
Yeah. No, I love it, bro. I love it. All right. Go ahead, bro.
The skeleton key for this season overall. What I mean by this is like, what are some teams, some overall ways that you can potentially see into the future of what needs to happen in terms of when you're drafting said player or when you're drafting, in an area of the draft where if this guy pops off or if this team does, the market thinks this team is going to do one thing and then they go out and do another, right? From that regard, where are you at with that?
Yeah, a few things. One of the skeleton keys, or at least said one of the North Stars this year, which is already kind of off to a bad start, is saying just like, hey, there's just no way wide receivers are going to get hurt to the same degree that they've been the past 2 years, and literally every injury so far has been
wide receiver. Man, literally, dog, literally, man.
I mean, it's so crazy how cold like these guys are. So, I mean. Top 24 receivers in ADP last year, like guys we were drafting with like Premier Capital, they combined them as 85 games last year. The next closest any that we've come since 2010 is 69 games. Like it was like they've run so cold. Last year we had 8 of the top 12 running backs play all 17 games, which is like unheard of. Yeah, we had 8 of the top 12 running backs play 17 games. Only 6 of the top 24 receivers played 17 games last year. Only Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson played 17 games of the top 12 guys, and Justin Jefferson's weren't even good.
Yeah, no, they weren't. Weren't pretty, as they say up here in Maine. Weren't pretty.
Yeah, it's just like, man, like, because one thing I think gamers missed last year, in construct of like the way the season played out, is that we still had the running back dead zone. Only 3 RB2s in ADP beat their ADP. It was James Cook, RJ Harvey of all people was one.
RJ, yeah.
It's funny because RJ Harvey wasn't good last year, but for fantasy football, he actually kind of was. Like he was he wasn't a very good player, but got there for fantasy, especially the end of the year after Dobbins got hurt. Like he wasn't having good games, but he was giving you good usable fantasy games.
Yes, sir.
Which worked out. And DeAndre Swift was the third guy. Those are the only 3 guys. So the dead zone was still alive and well. So I still think top down gamers with this running back kind of insurgence a little bit could be overvaluing the like running back 2 group versus the wide receiver 2 group. We'll just have to see how serious these injuries are. All this, like again, we let in with the Ibuka stuff. All this stuff could be a big nothing burger too, right? Like with these guys, all these guys could be week 1 ready to go and healthy as well. We're just freaking out now because it's August, 12th, and we're drafting teams. So, like I said, stick a pin in things. We haven't seen like where all these guys are going to miss any regular season action yet, but that was one of the things that I was looking at. I also do like a big. To your like kind of where you're steering the question a little bit too. I do a big team regression series, a 4-part series, and it kind of like puts some signals on like teams to be overvalued and undervalued. And the most consistent teams that came out to be undervalued this year, there was 3 that like consistently popped. One was the Houston Texans. They kept popping, and a lot of people probably don't think of them because they were like kind of an okay to good team. Like they're a playoff team, right? But there's a lot more meat on the bone, I think, for that offense to get. So they kept popping up. The Saints, who we talked about, and the other one was the Jets. And I actually do like the funny thing is I actually do like the Jets a lot from like a best ball, and I probably will be playing a lot of them in DFS because the other thing is their defense is bad. I think they're going to play in the shootouts. But from a redraft stance, the one thing that worries me is they have a week 13 bye, and if they just don't have enough wins at that point, we probably see Cade Kubnik play in the fantasy playoffs. And that's kind of why I haven't swerved in it. I'm treating the Jets as they're going to be like a team that I look at, especially early in the year for like DFS purposes, like game stacking stuff. Cause I do think Geno Smith's good enough to facilitate to Geno Smith. But I just worry about that last month. If we see Cade Kubnik, like what, that's money time for us, right? Like,
brother. Listen, I love what you were saying because, like, dude, I said this like we were doing our versus series last week and we were talking about Malik Neighbors and Garrett Wilson, and I was like, for context, I was like, bro, like I still like 1,000% taking Malik Neighbors like over Garrett Wilson, like that's not even like a discussion. I was like, but I think like we have forgotten about how good Garrett Wilson actually is. And like, rattled off like some things about like, just how he's been in the context of like your favorite receivers over the last like 3 years, right? And kind of like what you were talking about is like as you're going through your process, like there's things that pop, and when they pop, you're like, oh shit, like I don't know, man, like maybe I had looked at it, and dude, this is what I said: is I said I trust Geno Smith to get Garrett Wilson the ball, and I said I think I might actually trust him more than I trust Jackson Dart to do that. And the reason why is Jackson Dart, man, is like as we talked about, like he's the mobile. It's not about Jackson Dart's like as the individual fantasy player, because Jackson Dart is the individual fantasy player. Absolutely, man. Like the rushing upside, like we know what it is. But like you talked about, like if you're telling me like, hey, like Isaiah Likely and him and this guy's he averaged 195 passing yards last year. That makes me nervous. Like that makes me nervous, right? And then like when we talk
especially
about,
with Brian Daboll, like
bro, talk about it. Talk about it.
I mean, look at everything the Giants have done this offseason. I mean, obviously you hire John Harbaugh, Greg Roman, Brian Callahan, like they take a top 10 offensive lineman, they re-sign Jermaine Illuminor. They bring in Isaiah Likely, they bring in Patrick Ricard,
bro.
This is a team that wants to run the football.
Yes.
Like, they're telling you they want to. Like they want to run the ball too. So that's the other problem with it too. So like, yeah, I'm with you 100%. The Jets are like when you go under the microscope on the Jets. Like when I went back, I'm like, no, I get this. Like this roster makes sense. They've got a good offensive line. They've invested in young pass catchers. Like you have Garrett Wilson. You obviously you bring in Omar Cooper and Kenyon Sadiq. You still have Mason Taylor and Adonai Mitchell, who, maybe haven't turned out like this point in their careers what the upside could have been. But these are cromulent guys that are good, like guys to chip in on an offense. You get a guy at least can play point guard, or at least has shown that at points in his career in Geno Smith. And you still have Breece Hall and guys like Isaiah Davis. It's like, and the defense is awful. And it's like, this has potential to like be like like when I look at this team, like in a similar way, not quite to like what the Cardinals did at the end of the year, but it could be like a lot of dropbacks and a lot of high scoring games for these guys. But like I said, from a redraft stance, I just can't get out of the back of my mind, like, man, am I going to have like 3 months where Garrett Wilson's like a value? And then the last month, I'm just like, I got to count on Clade Klubnik to get me there.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair, man. That's fair. That's fair.
I think with Malika, so we're not looking at Malika as still a bona fide wide receiver 1 anymore. Then is that what we're telling people too? Like
he's right on the fringe for me. I mean, he's from a talent perspective, he absolutely is. But I also think too, from Malik Neighbors to this point in his career, he's been because of the environments he's been in, he's been a very boom or bust player. And we only had 3 games of him to play last year, but remember the 3 games were all over the map last year. He was like wide receiver 30 in week 1. Then he was wide receiver 2 overall in week 2. He had the huge game against the Cowboys. Then the next week they play against the Chiefs and he's like the wide receiver 80. I see just a lot of volatility there. And then that's before we even get to like, when has he looked like Malik Neighbors again? Like, because I still think that's a question mark. We have to price in a little bit that like, hey, there still could be like a little bit of an injury dip here too. That's the toughest spot for me. Like when we get to those wide receivers, like wide receiver 12 through, I would say arguably wide receiver 30, like you got to make tough choices.
Yes,
like
sir.
It's a lot of guys that I think you can make a real bull case for. I mean, you see a lot of gamers talk about, that pocket of Egbuka, Zay Flowers, Ladd McConkey, Jalen Waddle. Like it's very easy to sell yourself on the pro case. And it's just like, well, how do we navigate that? Like I think when we go back to February, when we look back at this in February, we're gonna be like, man, we really had to get those guys right out of that group. Like who did you get and who did you avoid?
Man, it's so convoluted because like you still were talking like some of the players that like you talked about, like you got those guys, but then you also have guys like obviously we talked about like Garrett Wilson, but you got Ted McMillan. Like do you believe in the Brian Thomas Jr. bounce back? Like do you believe in that? Like Terry McLaurin. Like there's just it's a lot of guys that are all. Like it could go south for like any of them. And like, to like one of the things like you talked about like last year is like, you're going to get something wrong. You're going to get something wrong. And that's a space where like, you can look up and down this list and go, it could be any of these guys, like 1,000%. But like Malik Neighbors, man, to go back to that, like, even if you go back to like his rookie season, like he missed a game or 2, but again, he was still all over the map, like with that. And you got to remember too, like there was a lot of like, like you talked about Jahmyr Gibbs, like, stacking up points like later in games. There was a lot of that same thing with Malik Neighbors, where he was on the field and the Giants were just terrible. And he was just getting peppered with like garbage time stuff. And like now, like you have the injury concern in there. There's a lot of things to be concerned about. Like I still believe the guy's at like 1,000% a first round talent, but like,
oh yeah,
does he get back to like that? That's the real question. And like, obviously too, like you talked about, like now that like he's healthy, like, does the steam start? And I think like the steam will start.
And that's the thing. Like, where does his actual ADP end up? Because a lot of people could tell you right now he's a value, but a lot of people that are actually going to be drafting like their actual leagues are going to be drafting him 4 weeks from now, Labor Day weekend, and by then he could be back up to like if he's still participating. And God forbid they should never dress him in a preseason game, but like if he's even practicing in full though at the end of the preseason, it looks like he's going to be active on week 1 and not be on the pup at all. Then he's going to climb to at least that range where like, gamers are still taking like Rashee Rice, like guys with question marks, right? Like that friend, when you talk about Olave, like he's going to probably get to that area as well. And you brought up his rookie year, and like I think a lot of people forget about his rookie year, like because it was very volatile, but he had his best games. Like he had the huge fantasy championship game against the Colts. That game was actually really hot, but like up into that point, he had basically been like a boom or bust wide receiver
Yes, sir.
And then had that big game, and obviously the talent is there. But like we talked about the Giants, they're telling us they want to run the football a lot. So he might not be the 160 target guy anymore. He might be like 120 to 130 targets. It's just real tough to navigate. He's probably a guy, I hate to say it, like, outside of auctions, like and stuff, like he's probably a guy someone will probably want more than me with that kind of capital.
Yep. No, I'm glad it got there, man. I'm glad it got there. All right. So we got this here, man. Like we run this segment here and there. Like to refer, go for it. No, you got it.
So in terms of skeleton keys, the teams that I think about when it comes to the upcoming season, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jacksonville, the Chargers, are two teams that come immediately to mind in terms of like, if these go well for people that were like, okay, we're trying to crown the Chargers. We tried to do this every year for the last like 5 years. It feels like.
What's funny is if the Chargers were any other situation with another logo on their helmet, people wouldn't be doing this. The fact that it's the Chargers, that's the reason.
We want it so bad. We needed it to happen so bad. The Jacksonville Jaguars for me is definitely a spot as well too, where it's like there's guys that are going, especially from a receiver standpoint, they're going almost around the same points of each other. And nailing that along with Tootin is something where, of course, Trevor Lawrence too. It's like if those guys hit as well, I think that's also a skeleton key for everybody. And then believe it or not, this team, we kind of saw it a little bit last season, but I'm not sure. But it's Arizona with Brissett at quarterback and the pieces and weapons that he has around him. We all know the defense is, but I think it's like a buy low spot in general for Arizona.
Yeah, they're tricky just because the games environment that they had last year is just like kind of once in a lifetime. Like, there's so much that went into that back half of the year run. They were on their 5th running back. They were missing, multiple offensive linemen. They were missing multiple starters on each level of the defense for like basically the whole back half of the year. And it just created these whirlwind barnstorm games where, I've talked about the Trey McBride stat. Like he ran 694 routes last year, like almost 700 routes. Like it's like an absurd number. Like add some context that, because when just people hear that, like, what does that mean? On average, like a premier tight end runs 30 to 35 routes per game. So he basically played 22 games last year. Like if you're using, like you basically got 22 games of production out of Trey McBride. It's just really hard because they're another team. When you look at every move that they made this offseason, they signed Michael Fleur, or they bring in Michael Fleur as head coach. They bring in Nathaniel Hackett as offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Free agency opens. They signed 4 offensive linemen. They signed Tyler Algier before they even know they're going to take Jeremiah Love at 3. Then they take Jeremiah Love at 3. And then at pick 34 at the top of the 2nd round, they take Chase Pasantis. Like, this is a team that's telling us they would like to play in some rock fights too, and really slow things down. So that's like really hard to navigate. Like just where the median falls, like where the talent meets like them just having a reduction in overall play volume. And then they got absolutely just shafted on the schedule, man. I mean, they opened the year against the Chargers, the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Giants, which is fine, the Lions, the Rams, the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Chiefs, the Commanders, and the Eagles before their week 14 bye. And they only play 3 home games out of their first 9 games. Like, they got absolutely crushed, man.
With the number 3 pick overall.
Absolutely crushed.
Awful.
Yeah. So I've kind of made it like an internal policy to like, I don't know if I'd not take Cardinals, but they only have 2 expensive guys. I don't fault anyone. Like Jeremiah Love and Trey McBride are like the 2 expensive pieces. You know, Michael Wilson and Marv are pretty palatable. But yeah, Jaguars are a team that you're bullish on them rolling over because Liam Cohen's done it now at 2 different stops. Another team too that I think is undervalued as well. That's kind of like not fully priced in because the Jaguars, you said no one's expensive in the offense. Even Trevor Lawrence isn't. And he was basically the QB2 the back half of the year behind Josh Allen. So you're not paying a premium for what we just saw with those guys, which is nice because like I let off the show with very often like gamers price in the most recent thing we saw. So that's pretty nice for the Jaguars. And the other team that I would mention too, because I brought up the Texans and the Saints, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've already seen like them be a good offense.
Yes, sir.
Their whole offensive line was hurt last year. They all missed games. Cody Mock basically missed the whole season. Tristan Wirfs 4 games. Ben Bredesen missed games. Luke Goedeke missed games. Those guys are coming into the year healthy. Zach Robinson coming over as offensive coordinator runs the same adjacent scheme that Liam Cohen ran. Remember, they both were with the Rams when Baker made that pit stop there a few years ago. And I also think Zach Robinson didn't get a full fair shake to run his offense in Atlanta because remember in year 1, he got Kirk Cousins coming off the Achilles and Kirk Cousins couldn't move. So Kirk Cousins couldn't play under center that whole front half of the year. And then when they made the pivot, it was to Michael Penix, who had never played under center. So he kind of never really ran his offense. So I think we're going to see Baker do a lot more things. And you love the collective talent, I still think, on the offense as well. You know, granted, we'll wait and stick a pin in what happens to Egbuka, but like Egbuka, Chris Godwin, Ted Hurst, Tez Johnson, Jalen McMillan, like this is a pretty solid group of wide receivers. And then the backfield, you know, Bucky Irving, Kenny Gainwell, and Sean Tucker, we could look easily back on this and say, like, yeah, this was a good offense where someone emerged out of this, even though it was ambiguous, like Travis Etienne did with the Jaguars last year. So they're a team that I also look at too, just collectively outside of Egbuka rising. I could see them having a lot of value as well. Like when we go back and look at this thing at the end of the year. The other thing about the Bucs too, is their front 7 looks incredible and their secondary looks awful.
Yes, sir.
So like they could be like one of these pass funnel teams like the Lions were. Like we had a few Lions teams like this the past like 5 or 6 years where they're just stuffing the run and they're making teams throw. And it's like, man, you can't stop the pass. Like, why don't you just give up some rushing yards? It'd be cool.
But the Bucs had been like there's a couple of years, like 2 years ago, like the Bucs were like that, and even like in moments like last year,
yeah, Todd Bowles like it.
yeah, man. And then like the other part, like to all this too, is like, dude, like Baker Mayfield, like like he was hurt. Like he was playing hurt. Like he was playing hurt last year, right? So like, dude, like that, like I love it. I love it because like he like talk about like the depth of quarterback, like Baker Mayfield's like quarterback 16, quarterback 18, right? And through like the first half of the year, like people were like MVP, right? And so like if you can get like, so if you can get that in a single Q
for Tez Johnson.
Tez, baby.
I forgot about Tez.
Oh man, yeah. So like I love it, man. I love everything you're saying.
Can't forget about Kate Otten. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Kate Otten's one of those good real life players. He's not a good fantasy player.
I know he's buried.
Yeah. All right, you good?
I love that.
Yes,
I love
sir.
that.
All right, man. All right, cool. All right, so we have a segment we like to refer to it as the bench mob.
The bench mob.
All right, so what we do is we say, hey, like, give us a QB, a running back, wide receiver, a tight end, all with an ADP later than round 11, and make a team. So you're our guest, so you're up.
What are we filling here? What's the team look like? Is it just one from each spot?
Yeah, one from each spot. Yeah, one from each spot. One quarterback, one running back, one receiver, and one tight end.
All right, so quarterback, we're doing round 11. Let me make sure I don't want
round 11 or later.
Round 11 or later.
All right, so my guy would be he's cut off. This is round 10, so I can't use him.
Nope.
Man, this is tough because there's a couple guys in here range. Like I'm just off Jared Goff, so I can't use him.
Nope.
He's like kind of my break glass guy. In one quarter leagues, I would say out of the guys, it would be Shuck. I think would be the guy I would look at because,
love it.
Like I said, the signal for the Saints has been, and I know I'd opened too about saying like I'm a little skeptical about Chris Olave, but I think that just makes you a little more bullish on the other guys too. But they open with that potential shootout game against the Lions. Because I'm thinking about like how can I play the early of the season and then maybe just pick up momentum and have this thing avalanche into where I run a starter. So you have that shootout game against the Lions. I guarantee you when we get to week 1, people are going to be talking about that game for DFS, like real
guaranteed, bro, guaranteed.
And then you also have
47.5 over under.
Yeah, and you also have Raiders and Falcons in the opening month of the year, and the Falcons defense. Oh, buddy, this defense
they took a hit too, and they took a hit. Yeah,
they've taken nothing but hits this offseason. So I would say Shuck, just because Goff misses that cutoff. I will say, like when I really push late round quarterback, Goff is the guy I always look to get because his opening schedule is just so good. And we know like the upside, and you get the attachment to 2 first-round picks. You also have the attached to the Porter, but I would say Shuck out of that.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. What about running back?
Yeah, running back is definitely probably gonna be gross here.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely gonna be gross, but I think like it's fun. It's a fun game.
Oh yeah, no, I love it.
Because like obviously like a lot of like fantasy leagues are anywhere between 14 to 16 rounds.
Yeah, we've got to talk ourselves into some dominoes falling in this range, right? Because none of these guys are like locked in for touches in this 11th round range. I would say the most appealing guy for me, and maybe I'm a little biased because he was my RB2 in this draft class, would be Jonah Coleman. And he's been gotten nothing but rave reviews so far, which obviously could mean nothing. But, we know J.K. Dobbins has never played a full season. We talked about R.J. Harvey being inefficient. Jonah Coleman's just one of these innings eaters, but also one of these guys like coaches will end up liking more because he just doesn't really do anything. Like he just forms everything good. Like he's got like you think about like attributes. Some people have like stuff like the slider's way tilted and one attribute like speed or awareness or catching or whatever. Jonah Coleman doesn't have like a spade, but he's like above average. All of his sliders are plus though.
I got it. I got it right here, man. I got it. I know exactly what it is. It's Sean Payton's version of Pierre Thomas in this offense. That's what it is.
And he does it well. He's actually, and then you granted we've said this about other rookies before, but he is really active as a pass blocker, which was a lot of times these rookies don't get on the field because of their pass protection, right? Like it's a big hindrance. But he is active. He talks about it being important all the time. He's a really good pass catcher. And he's one of these guys that he's not going to get you like a lot of 15s and 20s on the grounds. But what he does is he turns a lot of 4-yard runs into 7-yard runs. And he turns a lot of 1 and 2-yard runs into 3 and 4-yard runs. And coaches love dudes like that. This is how like a guy like Chris Rodriguez got money in free agency, right? Like coaches love these types of dudes. And I think once he gets a chance to play, he's just going to pick up a little bit more and start to pick up a little bit more and pick up a little bit more. So he would be kind of my guy down here. And we also look at when we have these guys, when they're going to get a chance to play, what's the environment like? Because you can have a guy like, we can say like, Mike Washington Jr. like could be a good handcuff. Ashton Janty went down, but Mike Washington Jr. is still going to play in the Raiders offense. Like, but like if we get a chance where Jonah Coleman can play like a really tangible role in this Broncos offense, I think he could turn it into something that's useful for fantasy football.
There you go.
What about Nicholas Singleton?
But that's the same thing. Like if he gets he's still playing for the Titans.
Yeah, I know.
like you know what I mean? It's like like I get it. Like he'd be a value based on ADP, but like he would still probably only be like in weekly rankings. Like imagine if Nick Singleton had the entire backfield to himself, which he'd need 2 injuries to probably get. Where if just Jonah Coleman had one of RJ Harvey or J.K. Dobbins missed time, like he would probably be ranked as high as Nick Singleton would, or if not higher, right?
Yeah.
If Nick Singleton had the backfield on a week, like he would still be like a low end RB2 and for like a lot of people, right?
All right. Wide receiver.
Well, wide receivers, we got there's tons of guys that you could that can be like really fun picks down here. Obviously, any of the rookies, especially for like because you don't have to draft them as starters, like back half season run. Even guys like Stribling, like is picking up steam. Denzel Boston, like those guys could be values. We've got guys like Jalen Coker down here, Casey Concepcion's down here, Matthew Golden, and Matthew Golden's down here too at this spot. I think my favorite guy though would be adjacent to something I hit on would be Jaden Higgins. Again, year 2, another player I liked as a prospect, didn't really do anything wrong as a rookie, just kind of got his footing. A guy that can maybe a red zone presence. If Nico Collins misses time, he just fills Nico Collins' role. When Nico Collins actually missed time as a rookie, he had 24% of the team targets on the game when he just was off the field. So I like Jaden Higgins. Like the Texans are a team I'm betting on being an undervalued offense this year. And then you get like a ton of contingency stuff through him. And then because CJ Stroud, and you're not going to get the Stroud in 1 quarterback leagues, but I do think in 2 quarterback leagues, CJ Stroud is definitely on my radar. A player I think that gets wrong. And I know the last game we saw him was I can't make any excuses for him. I'm not going to defend the game that we saw him play against Patriots, but I still think that his overall body work is overall positive through 3 years in the NFL. And I feel like he's getting treated like he's Bryce Young.
Yes, sir.
And I just don't agree with that.
Yeah. No. And you were pretty big on him like last year, like going into like the process as well. And like, I think like a lot of people were big into him last year because like, obviously like the rookie season that like he had, like it made sense for him to like take that next step. But like I think CJ Stroud, like he could definitely be a guy that could be a really nice value. Really in super flex leagues for sure. Obviously like in best ball. But like, as you've been saying, man, like if you turn around, man, in February and go, man, like, how did we let CJ Stroud fall to here, man? And he finishes like, QB 15 or QB 13, or even if he gave us something very comparable to like a Sam Darnold, like something comparable like in that space, I could totally see that, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that I've actually put a little bit of Super Bowl money in, thinking like they are very adjacent to like, why couldn't they be the Seahawks of this year?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
And Nick Caley's a guy I want to give run right now. Nick Caley could just be the fly in the ointment here. Like he could be just a donkey and ruin this because like he just did nothing creative last year. But I want to give him a little bit of window because the offensive line was a mess, and they've put a lot into their offensive line this year. Like I don't think they're going to be a top 10 unit, but I could definitely see this being an offensive line that takes a pretty significant step forward. Obviously, you bring in Braden Smith and Wyatt Teller. They draft Kalen Rutledge in the first round. They got a lot out of Ed Ingram last year, and Arante Arisay was actually one of the better rookie tackles last year. And you still have Evan Brown, Trent Brown as backup guys. So like they had to have a lot more. And then you add just the infrastructure of having a guy like David Montgomery also, and one of these guys that just isn't going to. He doesn't give you a lot of strikeouts. Again, David Montgomery he gives you more explosives than you think he does.
Yes, sir.
But I just look at them and I'm just like, man, everything's kind of here for them, and we know what you're getting out of the defense. But I just, like I said, I think their offense is gonna be undervalued, and if they can marry that with the defense, and their schedule is awesome. Like and for fantasy football stance, like you look at their open, like you have 2 potential shootouts, maybe 3 or 4 potential shootouts open area. Like they have Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indy, Dallas, Jacksonville, and then the Giants before their week 8 bye. Like those are games that could be, even with their defense, because like those are offenses that are going to be able to move the ball even on their defense, and at least push them to not play in like a game where it's like we're going to win 16-3, right? Because that's the thing. Maybe the Giants game will be like that, but Jackson Dart versus that Texas defense, they could be fun.
Oh man, I love it. All right, who you got for tight end, man?
Let's see, tight end. This is good. This probably be gross too, right? What do we got for tight ends down here?
Actually,
there's some, I guess there's some bodies down here.
Yeah.
I'm looking at where these guys are going overall. Yeah, man, we're just missing out on Dalton Kincaid. He's just right there. I would have really, I guess Chig still could be, even with the Diggs. The bummer is the Diggs stuff. Like Diggs kind of hurts a couple of the late round darts because of where he wins, and Diggs can win outside too. But Jaden Daniels struggled so much near the line of scrimmage for the sample we saw him last year. But then you add guys like Diggs, Antonio Williams, and Chig, and it's like, all right, they can problem solve for this a little bit. We just missed out on Mark Andrews too, which is one of my favorite tight ends this year. Because usually at tight end, when I'm waiting, like if I don't get a high end guy, I just try to touchdown hunt. And like Mark Andrews is easily a guy you could say could have 10 touchdowns again in his range of outcomes. But I'm filibustering here for sure, man. Because I don't love any of these guys, but man.
Yeah, it is kind of gross after because Andrews is like 10-12. So like,
I know Andrews. I looked at Andrews and I was like, he's right there, and I was like, he's so close. Oh, I guess I think default out of these guys down here, I'd still just say Chig, right? Like just because again, the new environment, maybe he gets to play more snaps. I guess I would still stick with him. It just the Diggs does hurt him a little bit. I do feel like though.
Dig that. All right, good night. All right.
That is funny.
Does he like Chig or he's out on Chig?
I was definitely in on Chig because obviously before the signing of Diggs, but obviously with the signing of Diggs now, it kind of takes away the same area of targets that Chig.
Antonio Williams especially, right? Like
him especially too. Like so I still like Chig though for where he goes because now he's gonna be your tight end too. He could be just someone that you just stash up overall too. So
he's very similar in terms of the way he's used, like Isaiah Likely, who's gotten really high, and I am cool with Likely too. I like him. I like pairing Likely with like a guy like George Kittle because you could price in like Kittle starting slow, and then you can also price in Neighbor starting slow, and that helping Likely, so you kind of get like that bridge, right?
Yeah.
So he's very adjacent to Likely, and it's like significantly cheaper, and arguably in a better offense.
Yes, we'll talk. Yes. Okay, here we go. All right, go ahead, man.
All right, the one bet for the people, you can give a second one too, but the one bet you're really feeling confident about that, hey, if I were to put my money on it now, tell me, hey, Rich, I need some advice. Who do I put my money on for an upcoming bet this upcoming season? Doesn't matter if it's prop, team, total.
Yeah, I'll give you a few. I'll give you first one, a fantasy bet. So one of the bets I'm making in fantasy football this year is that two good teams throw the football more this year. One is the Buffalo Bills. I think they have a lot of avenues to get here. Obviously, Joe Brady taking over for Sean McDermott. How much influence did Sean McDermott have? Remember when Joe Brady was hired? It was after Ken Dorsey was fired for throwing the ball too much. So how much was there? Also, the Bills have had a really good run in offensive line play and really offensive line health. They lost, David Edwards this year, who went to the Saints. They didn't really replace him. So, what if they just aren't quite as good as a running team? They're still going to be a good running team, I think, in bulk. They bring over Pete Carmichael too. Pete Carmichael is like one of these, Sean Payton type guys. They love that short passing game. So I think we're going to see more of that. What if the defense is just worse with McDermott leaving? I think on paper and Jim Leonard, good hire. They've got good personnel, but then they also have like a really fun schedule where I think they're going to get pushed a lot. They play a lot of really good teams. So their team I'm betting on throws the football more. And the way I'm applying that to fantasy football is not necessarily always drafting Josh Allen, because I'm just not going to be the guy that takes the first quarterback often in a lot of leagues. But I really think DJ Moore is being penalized for just previous performance. I think he's in a really good spot. I think Dalton Kincaid is a potential value as well. And then I also think they're going to throw to James Cook more, which just picked up steam. But I was on that early. Like I've had James Cook earmarked as, I almost had him as my RB3. I have him as my RB4.
Say it.
But I do believe as a talent, he could, if he were to get the same utilization as Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, he could perform with them to that level. It's just that he has to contend with Josh Allen and inside the 5, and those two guys just won't contend with the quarterback doing anything inside the 5 with them. But I think he could be that type of player, because he's like the same build too, like that like sub, like that 205 to 215 guy. He caught the football a ton in college, and even his first year in the NFL. And I know he can catch the football, and he's an electric runner.
Yes.
So, and it gives you big time explosive. So I plan it that way. And then the other team is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, they have a lot of avenues. Again, the offensive line is really not that strong on paper. We don't know what's going to happen. Could Josh Jacobs still be suspended? They don't have a lot of depth behind him. I know we're still holding the candle for Marshawn Lloyd to play. And then Micah Parsons, we don't know when he's going to look like Micah Parsons. So the way I'm playing that is all their receivers are undervalued. I think all three of their receivers are in play. I think Tucker Kraft has a potential value as well, even pricing in the ACL. So yeah, those from like a fantasy football betting stance. And then I think Jordan Love is a really great fail-safe quarterback too. I think he's a great super flex quarterback if you get him. Don't love the week 1 game, but then like the next like several games are awesome that he'll be streaming and probably be in the DFS pool as well. From a real life stance, I haven't looked at actual lines in a while, but I'm sorry this one's gotten ruined already, but the very first player prop I gave out on the site was Josh Downs over 699.5 yards. And I want to say last time I heard it's like close to 800 now, or like in the low eights. But it opened at 699.5, and I had already had him priced in even before the Alec Pierce stuff of like he was going to have more opportunity, and this was a light number. But and the way to other play that is I bet Josh Allen passing touchdowns. It was 24.5 when it opened. It might have gone up a little bit, but one that hasn't moved that I already hit on, CJ Stroud. I bet his. I don't know what it is right now because again I haven't checked these, but 22.5 was his passing touchdown number. That was one I had bet as well. These are all like they were all initial wave stuff that we gave out on the site. So some of them might, if the lines moved, I apologize. I'm sorry, but those were all ones. I haven't checked the player prop lines because I've been doing so much fantasy stuff. I haven't gone back and done like a recheck. They've also been worse this year in posting stuff. Giving us updated ones.
Yeah, so true though.
All right,
and
brother.
Then I bet, like I said, bet the Texans to win the Super Bowl. That was a fun one.
Sprinkle.
Yeah, a little sprinkle, and the Denver Broncos too, were my other team that I bet.
I like the Broncos. I did a Broncos when they win the Super Bowl, which is actually a great segue. Who wins the Super Bowl this year? We ask every host that comes on. We ask. There's a series of questions that we always ask everybody. So who wins the Super Bowl this year?
I mean, listen, I'm gonna get dunked on, and you can clip me, but I mean, I'm gonna stick with the Texans, man.
Okay. I rock with it, man.
Listen, I'm gonna stick with the Texans. Awesome defense. I think the offense is gonna be better. So listen, I'm gonna stick with it. But my bold call.
Oh wait, no, not yet.
Oh, there's an actual bold call?
Yes, there is one. We got one.
My fault.
We got one. This is like our wrap up session here, man. It's like we call it like rapid fire. So we have like just random questions. Some of them are about football, some of them are about sports, some of them are about like other random things. But like we just rip them off. And for you, because we have so much love for you, last year we did a blind ranking segment. And I'm gonna run that back to you on what your blind ranking was, and we're gonna do another blind ranking this year. All right.
Well, let me know what it was. Let me know how bad I did.
No, actually, we'll talk about it. Actually, in the grand scheme of things. All right. So, Nick, if you got some, you can run them off. We can bounce them off each other. But I'll start off. I'll call this one first 48. One player that can kill your draft if you take him within the first 48 picks of your draft.
I'm gonna say, ooh, man, there's a couple guys. All right, listen. In the theme of this, I'm gonna stay hot for you again.
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
You want me to give you the reasoning? You know your reasoning too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So Jonathan Taylor, was one of these guys that was a value last year, but like I think Saquon 2 years ago has made too big of a jump. So if you look at Jonathan Taylor for his career, he's the most dependent running back we have in the NFL in terms of output in wins and losses. He's number one in the NFL in PPR points per game since he entered the NFL and wins, 22.7. He goes to RB15 in points per game and losses. Last year, he averaged 32 points per game and wins, 12 per game and losses. And even removing the Riley Leonard, Phillip Rivers, his 4 losses playing with Daniel Jones, RB21, RB29, RB28, RB18. That's noteworthy because the Colts are only favored in 6 games this season, entering the year. They have a ton of moving parts on offense. Michael Pittman's been traded. We don't know when Alec Pierce is going to play. Braden Smith is no longer on the roster. Alec Pierce definitely matters because when Alec Pierce, this is a 2-year sample, the past 2 years, on plays where Alec Pierce is off the field, it's 155 runs, not even like a 12 run, or like sometimes you get these samples and like they're like 20 runs or whatever. It's 155 runs with Alec Pierce off the field. Jonathan Taylor's faced a loaded box on 43% of his runs, 8 or more defenders in the box. When Alec Pierce is on the field, it goes to 28.7% because people have to respect him. He's a big part of like him. Alec Pierce doesn't need to be good to impact the offense. Him being on the field impacts the offense. And then the Colts, I mean, they just have this rough gauntlet to open. Baltimore, Kansas City, Houston. They have an international game against Boston, but then against Washington, but then they forego the bye after the international game. They go short week to Pittsburgh, and then no bye after that game. And then we have the Daniel Jones. What's real about Daniel Jones from last year? So I just think when I look at the running backs in his area, I like James Cook more, and he goes after him. Yeah. I like Saquon Barkley more, and I think they're very similar players, but I just am more bullish on the Eagles infrastructure than I am the Colts infrastructure.
We are too.
I kind of like Chase Brown more too. And
we love Chase Brown.
I like Kenneth Walker more too. So right, I think I think it's I don't think Jonathan Taylor's like gonna brick. Like I don't think he's gonna be like awful, but I think at ADP, like I think you could end up coming away with like the Saquon season where he has like 1,200 yards and like 8 touchdowns, and like statistically, like those are okay, but like you just never got like what you paid for, and like
RB11 for RB5 price.
Yeah, and you just kind of just like say that's how Saquon was last year.
Yeah,
like, all right.
All right.
My question for you overall will be, when it comes down to it, because there's some people that still believe in zero RB. What are some like zero RB candidates for you overall this upcoming season? For example, for me, like I think I'm really coming around to Rachaad White for Washington. I'm not so sold on Krosky Merritt, and I do like Rachaad White. I do like the situation that he's going to entail. And if you're telling me now we already lost like Laramie Tunsil to injury, like that would assume that Jaden Daniels is going to have to, check down the ball a little bit more. And there's going to be situations where Washington's going to find themselves in, negative situations when it comes to third downs. So you would assume Rachaad White, as long as he stays healthy, would be in those situations a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But that would be one of like my guys for like a zero RB like candidates. Who will be some for you overall?
Well, any of the ambiguous backfields, I think you just attack. You could have said any Washington running back, and you even said Katron Allen. I would have been like, yeah, sure. Katron Allen's another one of those guys. Like, well, I think when he starts to play, people will just like him a little bit. The Panthers guys could be there. Either of those guys, the Steelers, even the Patriots guys probably don't count because they're kind of like butted up against that RB2, RB3 range where they wouldn't be true zero RB guys.
Yeah.
The Vikings would be one. Like I think Jordan Mason, Damon Claiborne, if you're getting real frisky, like late in the draft, like those are guys that I think we could look back at being like really undervalued. Jordan Mason, especially if you're in non-PPR leagues, like on Underdog, man, I feel like he's an awesome pick. And best ball non-PPR where you get like all the weeks he scores touchdowns. Like sounds pretty cool to me. Like that's a kind of like really fits him. Kyle Monangai would be a guy I think that kind of fits that mold. Maybe a little bit more expensive and not like one of those true guys, but anyone down there. I guess Marshawn Lloyd would still count too at this point.
We came back to it. Oh
boy, Marshawn Lloyd twice in our show. Oh boy.
Yeah. Jaden Blue's a wild card one too. Yeah. We're gonna keep the candle on for some of these guys here.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like we all know, like you're a big Cleveland fan, big Cleveland Guardians fan. We know you're Cleveland guy.
Not a Browns fan, but
okay. I love you even more now. Who is your favorite, and maybe I might strike a nerve here, who is your favorite Cleveland athlete not named LeBron James?
Oh man, well, As a kid, Brian Brennan would be my first. I stay a Browns player, even though not a Browns fan. Brian Brennan, I love. Listen, man. So I mean, I was a wide receiver. I loved the white receiver, man. I had to do like, the Browns had Brian Brennan was a baller, man, a legit baller in the '80s. Didn't wear gloves, like, oh yeah,
about that life, baby, about that life.
Yeah, but I loved him. And Kenny Lofton would be a real close second.
Okay,
Love Kenny Lofton. Love Kenny Lofton.
All right, cool. What's your favorite type?
Anderson Varejao.
Oh my God! Oh man,
dude, the Cavs, those early LeBron teams ran so many jamokes that people convinced, like, is this guy actually okay at basketball? No, he was not.
No.
Like, people are like, is Sasha Pavlovich actually kind of good?
Dude,
like, no,
oh my God, bro! Listen, dude, I could go on a epic rant about those Cavs teams, and my God, dude, an epic rant. Shut up! What are you doing? What are you talking about? You're ridiculous.
Tristan Thompson, like, there were so many dudes that
bro. Man, Larry Bird had the greatest quote ever. I will never sign a guy that played with LeBron James because he made them all look better than what they actually are. End quote.
I mean,
you own that snow.
the one thing I will defend to my fullest, because there's obviously anytime because life's full of haters, and LeBron is actually one of these guys that had all these expectations put on him and lived up to them, which is rare. Bro. But early in his career, like when people were trying to tear him down still. And like, remember, because the first finals he made, they got just swept by the Spurs. Dude,
a dynasty.
That team he took to the finals is the most ludicrous team that ever made the finals, and he took them there like literally by himself.
Literally,
all the talking heads are just like, oh well, where's your LeBron? He got swept. Like, it's like, brother, like, do you look at this team? Do you see like what?
Nobody else I know was doing that, and like nobody else, and I don't care, man. Oh man, I feel like I set myself up for that. No, I love this. Is again, man. Why we got so much love for you? Oh man. All right. You got one, Nick? Or you want me to rip it?
I got one more. We debated Mike Evans and Devontae Adams earlier in our verses. I have Mike Evans. He had Devontae Adams. Where are you at on that?
Yeah, I'm more on the big Mike side too. Just because, like, when you look at the Rams, like, we just know like Stafford could still ball, and he's going to throw probably fewer touchdowns, right? And the player that is impacted by Matthew Stafford throwing fewer touchdowns the most is the guy who lives on touchdowns.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Mike Evans definitely comes with some risk. I think he comes with more injury risk, obviously, than Devontae Adams. So that I could totally understand you just saying, hey, I'm going to take the safe route, and I know what I'm getting out of the Rams. But, man, if there was a dude that was meant to play X receiver in the Shanahan system, man, it's Mike Evans, man. Like, man, he's gonna be in such a really good role for his skill set. And he also plays the quarterback that has kind of that scoring touchdown juice too. Like, if Purdy threw 35 or 40 this year, I don't think anyone would blink. I mean, he has a 7% touchdown rate in 3 of the past 4 years. So yeah, I mean, I have them really close. So it's, again, that's probably why you guys asked this question anyways.
Yeah.
But I do have Evans literally 2 spots ahead of Adams.
That's fair. No, that's fair, man. That's totally fair. What's your favorite type of league to play in?
Auction. I mean, everyone probably will say their home league. My home league is my favorite. It's an auction keeper contract league. I think it just melds all the things we like a lot. Yeah. The thing I like about auctions the most, and not everyone likes it, is because they are time consuming. But like when you're talking about your home league, like the reason you do your home league is to check in with your mates. Like it's to hang out. So we want to hang out. We want the draft to be longer. We want to hang out and be an experience and hang out with each other. I'm in this league. We're in year 20 this year. So we are 20th year. We throw a big party where the families come too. The families come, the kids, the wives. We make it a thing where it's not just the guys getting together. It's a big thing all day. We cook out, we play like a giant wiffle ball game. We do like get all the kids involved, and then we draft in the evening and have just a real good time. Because usually by then everyone's had a few over the course of the day, and mistakes are made. Even I make them because it's like, oh man, I had too much bourbon today, man. Who we bidding on? Like it's like,
what about Patronus? Patronus?
Yeah. I don't usually pull out the Patronus during the draft, but that's usually more of a go out time. But and then we have a contract league. So not only do you have like the salaries that these guys are drafted at, but then you can give out them contracts at the end of the year. And it adds like a different wrinkle and dynamic to the league as well. So there's like, you get to keep keepers with contracts, and it's just really fun. And I love that. So, but I will say like, whatever you like is completely fine. I don't think there's a wrong way to play fantasy football. There's wrong ways to play fantasy football within the confines of those leagues though. Like, the biggest thing I always tell people is people get caught up on players, but like we always talk about, brought it up on a show, like you're going to get a lot wrong. If you get to the end of the finish line with half your roster, like you did something right, or ran hot. But the biggest thing gamers don't do is they just don't adjust for their league, and they don't play to like their league. How many flex spots is there? Is it full PPR? How many starting requirements are? Does it start 2 wide receivers? Does it start 3? Those are all things that should be going into how you're approaching actually building your team. And not everyone does that. So there are wrong ways to play fantasy football, but there's no wrong way to actually to have a preference of playing fantasy football. Just calibrate to your league.
No, I love it, man. I love it. That's a great story. Football. So back into like a fantasy space here. There's a youth movement with offensive coordinators this year. How do you feel? Yeah. How do you feel about that? And who are some of the offensive coordinators that you're focusing in on or that you're interested in?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the NFL is the one sport like they've had a problem just running a lot of guys back, like tried and true, and a lot of like listen, man, Matt Nagy's coaching an offense again this year, guys. Like. Not only is Matt Nagy coaching an offense this year, Nathaniel Hackett's coaching an offense this year.
Booty do.
Like, what are we doing, man? Like, and I love seeing these guys get a chance. Like, Declan Doyle finally getting his chance, so, and particularly guys like David Blau and Sean Mannion, right? Like,
yes, former players.
Yeah, not only former players, but played under coaches that got it right. Like, because like David Blau's technically not like on the Ben Johnson coaching tree, but I consider him like he's very Ben Johnson pilled in everything he's talking about wanting to do. Now we'll see if he executes that as well. And Declan Doyle obviously has gotten to work under some awesome people. He worked under Ben Johnson last year, and then Sean Payton. So like marrying those worlds, we've got another Shanahan tree guy and Brian Fleury getting a job. I'm definitely excited to see like these guys get opportunities as well. But you see the league has gone to this shift though, where I made this like kind of tongue in cheek like 3 years ago. I was like kind of noticing this movement of the NFL to combat like the big nickel defenses. The teams that were having the most success were the Shanahan tree guys. And I was like, what if we just drafted, our fantasy football teams that were just Shanahan tree guys?
I think I caught that actually.
Yeah, I was tongue in cheek, but it was, and now what's funny, if you look at if you just strip away every play caller, I think we're up to like 20 dudes that are off the tree, man. Like, which
is crazy work, bro. Crazy work. Crazy work.
So we're basically doing that now, is drafting guys off the Shanahan coaching tree.
Wild.
Yeah.
Over the league. Taking over the league.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. Like, cause I don't know, like I'm a little bit more interested this year, man, like in preseason football, just to see like what it looks like,
Well, the most fascinating, I'll say this, the most fascinating hires to me are the two that we kind of talked about, Sean Mannion and David Blau, because they are taking over. They're going to ask quarterbacks to do what we have not seen them do. Now, Ben Johnson did this with Caleb Williams last year, had him playing more under center, turning his back to the defense. We haven't seen this from Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels. I mean, Jaden Daniels, 2 years in the NFL, he's got 36 dropbacks that weren't out of shotgun. Like and I'm probably a little bit more bullish on Jaden Daniels because I actually think he's one of these guys, I think from like a quarterback throwing stance has that juice.
Yes,
like,
sir.
he's a guy that can throw to all sectors of the field. He plays the anticipation. We got to get him to just stop taking shots, though. Like
Literally.
he did this at LSU too. Like, bro, you are 205. Like you like
a frail 205 too.
You are not Josh Allen or Cam Newton, brother. Like we've got to protect you. We've got to protect you. But I do think I'm a little bit more. He doesn't have the talent around him as like a Jalen Hurts, but those are the two spots. I'm interested to see like what those players can do with a new, environment and being asked to do things that they haven't done. Because the other thing is that these things we know like these are like easy buttons in an offense, but it also doesn't work out for everyone either. Like Kyler Murray is a great example of this, right? Like his fit with the Kevin O'Connell scheme is going to be really interesting because, it's predicated on under center, play action, rip throws over the middle field of anticipation. That's not really Kyler's game, man. And it's not truly like a Kyler. He's just not big. Like it's kind of, you don't want to just dunk on him because you are what you are physically. Like he's obviously gotten to the NFL with he's overcome that to a degree more so than a lot of people his size ever will, right? To play in the NFL at this level. But it is a question mark I have. So it's like Kevin O'Connell's going to, I think, have to do more to acquiesce his offense to Kyler Murray than asking Kyler Murray to do Kevin O'Connell stuff. Where I'm interested to see if Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels can do those things because they haven't been asked to do it. So I don't want to say that they can't do it. I'm just intrigued by it.
Yeah. Dig it. We know you love year 2 wide receivers. Who's your guy this year? Yeah, who's your guy this year?
I brought up Jaden Higgins.
Yeah.
Definitely one of my dudes down at Price. And I think by default, so we don't have like a lot of cheap guys this year. I just wrote about this last week, because I did an ADP, like ADP trends and like we're getting value and I do the year stuff. And there wasn't as many guys popping this year because they're all kind of expensive because the year 2 guys made a big jump. I'm trying to think of who was down here too. I had another guy on the list. I think it was just default Matthew Golden. I think he's just because of the price point of where he's at that you kind of just have to look at him because the other guys are just expensive. All the other year 2 guys. Yeah. Because Tet, Egbuka, and Burden are already top 24 picks. Yeah. You got to get down to Golden and Higgins before you have the next wave of guys. So I would say those 2 guys. I didn't particularly like Matthew Golden as a prospect, but I'm still drafting him because he's in the F around and find out zone. And I talked about the I mean, you're not drafting him as a starter. You're not drafting him as a starter. So like I already talked because I'm on the Packers throwing more this year. So what if he is just part of that? And so I am drafting him for that purpose of just saying, hey, I'm on the Packers throwing more. He's cheap. I already like your 2 wide receivers historically anyways. Like why would I turn a blind eye just because I was like, I didn't really like this guy. I want to be objective.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So last year we did the blind ranking segment. So last year, I'll start from worst to best here. So last year you had Terry McLaurin at number 5. We did like flex. So you had Terry McLaurin at number 5. You had DJ Moore at number 4.
Both those guys are not good.
You had it was interesting. You had Chuba Hubbard at 3.
Not good.
You had Tyreek Hill at 2.
He was going to pay out, to be fair.
Yeah, he was. No, he was. Definitely and then last year, yes. Oh my God, and everything else.
That was a terrible injury, man.
Oh my God, dude. I remember I was like they were like I turned it back on. And they were like, oh my God, and I'm squeamish. So my rule with squeamish injuries is this: I can watch it one time, and I watched it one time. And I was like, bleh, bleh.
He was one of those you heard him audibly scream when it happened. Yeah. Do you remember? It's the one that sticks out of my mind. Do you remember when Victor Cruz got hurt?
Yes.
And on the audio, yes, you heard the injury, like his knee, like oh my God, I still hear that.
Yeah. Your number one guy. Yeah, and your number one guy last year was Travion Henderson. So it was a rough group of players that we had last year.
I think I ranked them correctly still.
Yeah, like that was the thing. I went back and I was like, he wasn't too far off, for sure. So this year,
5 better names this year.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna play in a different space this year. All right, I'm gonna play in the space of quarterbacks because I'm gonna play in the quarterback space. So I'm just gonna start off. All right, Caleb Williams.
No. See, this is the fun you threw out. That's a good starting name because I don't know if you're gonna throw. I don't know where you're throwing guys out here. I'm gonna put Caleb Williams at 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence.
I'll put him at 4.
Ooh.
Jackson Dart.
5. Now I'm boxed into 1 and 2 here. I went Caleb 2. In my head, I was thinking I should have did Caleb 2. All right, let's see. Give me a good one.
Bo Nix.
All right. Well, I gotta put him 2 then. I'm cooked here on this.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert.
Oh, baby, we did it. If you gave me the same 5 blind, I still would have Dart 5. I would have Herbert 1 still. I would have Caleb 2, then Lawrence Nix.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So
That's fair.
You got me to Herbert still, who has I had 2.
Yeah.
I felt like the Caleb was like one of those tweener leads. Like I felt you were gonna give me at least one better than him. Although he does go over Herbert, I just am more bullish on Herbert because anytime like that system's had a guy with actual talent, like they've almost won MVPs.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Like honestly, the only guy like I'm not like really bullish on out of this group is Jackson Dart. But like everybody else on that group, man, like I love one of my personal bets is I got Trevor Lawrence for MVP is one of my bets. And so that's one I think like can definitely get there. It's been well documented how much and how infatuated I've been with Caleb Williams ever since he's came into the league. Mm-hmm. So like that doesn't change anything. So yeah, I just thought that would be that would be fun.
That was fun though. That was fun. I definitely got that wrong.
All right. So we're at the 4th. We call this one 4th and 20 here to wrap it up. We call it 4th and 20. And this is your spicy take, like your hottest take, player, team, situation, like whatever. Like you can cook here on your 4th and 20 here, man.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to do one I've given out. If you heard me on another show, I give us out. So I'm sorry to not bring
it's all good.
To not bring that Craig Mack, that new flavor for you guys. But this is a good one. But this is a good one. Josh Downs outscores Rashee Rice.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I can see a world where that could happen. I hope it doesn't, but I can see a world where it does. I can totally see a world where it does, man. Oh, shoot.
Does that mean you're that concerned about Mahomes too in general and this Kansas City team in general too? Or is it more just like, hey, like Josh Downs is here. He's going to be more full-fledged receiver in this situation. We don't know what's going on. Alec Pierce from an injury perspective, like, they did pay him, but it's also Josh Downs now playing inside and outside. Like, is it because of that? And you think Daniel Jones is going to be that good because he was pretty decent before he got hurt last year? Is that all of that encompassing? Or
I mean, all of it except for like really banking on Daniel Jones. But I mean, but a bad version of Daniel Jones is going to pepper those like short area targets. Like, we saw it with Wandale, but I think the guys that benefit the most are obviously Downs and Warren with all the moving parts, with Pittman being gone and Alec Pierce being banged up. Because even if Jones if Alec Pierce is back, like you still have to count on Jones. Remember, his Achilles was his right foot, his plant foot. That's the Kirk Cousins. Like, can he drive the football? We still have to remain to be seen if there's any lingering effect. If that hurts anyone, that's going to hurt a guy like Alec Pierce more so than the other guys. And then I just look at the Rashee Rice and the way he's won, and he's been a great fantasy player when he's played from the back half of his rookie season. But when did the Chiefs like take an internal look and say like, our offense hasn't been good and we're giving the guy the football in this capacity too much in this way? Like, when do we internally say like, hey, maybe this is a symptom of like why we're not that good on offense. Like we've got to throw the ball to our wide receivers, like either winning on routes or downfield. He has one career target on a ball that's been thrown 25 or more air yards.
I seen the clip. Somebody actually posted that on Twitter. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, they were like, "Yo, Rashee Rice touchdowns 20 yards or more," and I was like, "Oh, I want to see this."
So anytime we have a guy like Rashee Rice from like a fantasy football stance, where like when the team, if a team's having success with it, it's one thing. But when a team starts not having top down success with it, it's like, where are they going to look to make changes, right? Like they're going to look and say like, well, what were we doing the most that wasn't working? And I just feel like there's a lot there. I think he's going to have to make significant growth in his game And that's probably more so of a dynasty take than an outright 2026 take, because I think he's going to, by just default, have to be targeted because they just didn't really add a lot. But I do believe for like, because he's up for a contract this year, and it's not just the off-field stuff that's going to impact that. I think his actual growth as a receiver is going to impact how much he gets paid too as well. Especially if the Chiefs let him hit the open market, because I think a lot of teams will look at it and they'll say, well, what can we really do with this guy? Right. Like what can we do with him? What does he do well? And if you don't want that near the line of scrimmage target, or it doesn't fit like what you're doing, you're probably just going to pass on him. So yeah, I'm just a little nervous about just the way he wins. It's not, and it doesn't really have anything to do with his off-field stuff, which is, such a driver for like his dynasty value. But I just need him to win like an actual wide receiver. Like
I need him to win like a wide receiver.
Yeah. There's no one else up there. Like the biggest sample, like the only guy close to we have that's had success like this is Deebo Samuel. And like he had like one monster season, and like he's been all right around that. Like for real football, he's been a productive player, but for fantasy football, it's really just been that one Deebo year.
Yeah,
and it's just really hard to win that way as an NFL player.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. That's crazy.
And that Deebo season was magical. But think about this: Deebo Samuel he had a year where he averaged 18 yards per catch, led the NFL in yards per catch. And his depth of target was like 4.5 yards.
Dude,
like it's the dumbest shit
crazy.
ever.
That's wild.
Dude, that year, I like every year, like I'll do like an intake of like, who was my favorite non-Steeler player? And that year it was Deebo Samuel. Like it was just so fun to watch him just like run by people, run over people, like get handoffs. Like it was a fun thing to watch, man. Fun thing.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see another like statistical anomaly season like that again, where this guy had literally 1,400 receiving yards, led the NFL in yards per catch. Also, what did he have that year? He had 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, his depth of target that year was just like, it's insane because, Alec Pierce the last 2 years has, I think, led the NFL in yards per catch, but his depth of target is like, 17, 18 yards downfield.
Crazy work. Yeah.
Where he catches, like the fact that Deebo led the NFL in yards per catch that year is absolutely just bonkers. I'm trying to get that. I was trying to pull up while I was talking through there to give you the actual number of what it was.
What for Deebo?
Like his actual depth of target that year, I was pulling it up, but because it's just like it's just such an insane season, and it's one we knew wasn't going to be replicated. It was actually a little higher that year. It was 8.5 that year, but I still bet it's one of the lower ADOTs for the league leader in yards per catch.
1,000.
And he's had lower ones. Remember too, that was the year where everyone was on Ayuk, and he got doghoused to open the year. And then just went nuts.
And he didn't. And he didn't. I remember it. He didn't like play until he didn't get back on the field till like week 8 or week 9. It was something like that right there when he actually started playing again. That's crazy.
And again, it's funny looking back on that and knowing how we know how that situation played out with Shanahan and Ayuk, and it was all there for us.
Yeah, it was. The signals were there. Yeah,
these guys, they had a schism way early.
Yes, sir. Oh, so all right, man.
Fun stuff.
Well, you got anything else, Nick?
One thing I want to ask: if you were to get a group of your guys to do a destination draft, where do you think y'all going? Anywhere in the world. Pick anywhere.
I mean, there's so much in the world I haven't seen, so it's hard to just say vouch for a place. I mean, I'm someone I have not done out of the country traveling in my life. I had a lot of kids when I was young, so when you have kids when you're young, man, that's the thing you lose out on is a lot of that travel time that a lot of people get in. So I'm making up for it now. That's why I see you everywhere I go, Nick, now, it's okay. I'm making up for it. My kids are older. I can go do stuff. I got a little more money in my pocket. I can go do some things.
Oh, sure.
That's a great question though.
What's your cash app?
Yeah.
got a fun Rich over here for travel purposes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of where we could just have a blast. I don't know. I mean, at top of my head, places where I would just say where we could just do some unadulterated shit, be like Amsterdam or something
All right,
where we all might not come home, some Euro trip type stuff.
Scary hours over there for sure. For sure.
So I would say something like that. In the States, like just for in the States, I would be probably just so many fun places. Big city. I think out of the big cities, Chicago's my favorite big city.
Mhm.
Out of the big cities, and then I would probably like off the wall choose somewhere like up in the Northeast, which I think John, you're in Northeast, or you're in Connecticut, Nick.
Yeah, I'm in Maine. Yeah, man, it's good. It's some beautiful stuff up here, man.
So I think that's the most beautiful part of the United States is that Northeast corner.
Yeah.
And then, you get some cold weather, but I think, especially like fall time, man, I don't know if there's a more beautiful area of the States than that.
It's literally like my favorite time of the year is like obviously like when football season starts, but probably from like middle of September to like, first or second week in November. Man, dude, it's just beautiful. 50 degrees, man, not too hot, no bugs. Like it's it, man. It's it. Come on up and pay a visit sometime.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Listen, we can go. We could do a draft at the Cape or something.
All right.
Yeah. Do a draft at the Cape. Go have some fun in Provincetown. Do whatever, man.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
And great food, man. Great food in that area of the States has amazing food. That fresh seafood.
I was about to say, come on up here and get some lobsters, man, and some scrimps. You know what I mean? Come on up, brother.
The first time I ever had the New England style lobster roll, the hot lobster roll, it was life changing. I was like, I'd had lobster rolls before, and I'm like, you're telling me you're just gonna heat this butter and lobster up? Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Do
yes.
that.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Oh, so good, bro. So good. You got anything else, man?
That is a wrap for us.
That is it. All right. Well, listen, man, we've had a blast here tonight, man. Now like at this point, man, to be able to call, a friend Lord Reebs here.
Lord
Reebs.
Oh no,
here.
we're real life buds, man.
It's cool, and I think like Nick tweeted this out like a better human being than he is a fantasy analyst, which is crazy because he's one of the best. And
that's all we got, man. That's all we got. No. Listen, you could stack a lot of accolades, a lot of riches, but I promise you, when you go, the thing that's going to matter is how good of a person you were. That's what's going to hold the most weight to anyone. What you leave behind is what kind of person you were.
Yeah, and man, listen again, like haven't seen you in a year, man, but our conversation still holds very strong. From Canton, for sure. And man, like I appreciate everything you've done, man. Like reaching out like in spots and stuff, man. And obviously coming on the show. And just being approachable and being a good dude, man, for sure. So I'm definitely grateful for that and definitely appreciative. And I know obviously Nick is as well. But with that said, man, it is the Fantasy Football Show. If you haven't seen it streaming here on the bottom of your screen, please go follow, like, subscribe on YouTube, the Fantasy Football Show. We'll continue to have more hosts on here, man. We'll continue to be able to bring that straight gas to you guys. But in the meantime,
we're coming.
And for Lord Reebs and Nick Wilcox, it's Johnny Main. We out. Peace.